Watch out for the business buying course sellers with big promises. Now, selling courses on things like buying businesses is a big moneymaker for a lot of people. It's actually a really smart business model. There's lots of people that want to buy businesses. There's very few people that are going to end up closing on a business. So if you can make $10,000 off of all the people that are dreaming about buying a business, but they're never going to buy a business, that's a great business model. But the problem is they're making this money off you. There's a few things we hear them say that we just don't think line up with reality. A lot of times these course sellers paint a world that we just don't see day-to-day buying businesses. One is that they bash sites like BizBuySell or BizQuest. They say that they're terrible, everything on there is overpriced, everything's overlooked, you have to do off-market searches. And those sites are terrible. There are lots of things that are overpriced, and there's lots of things that have been overworked over by the market. But there's also terrible things in the off-market. Typically what we see in off-market searches is overinflated values from business owners, books that are completely unfinanceable. It's much more of a needle in a haystack. Now, I described going on BizBuySell as trying to find a needle in a haystack, and I describe going and doing an off-market search is finding a needle in a haystack. But I'd say the haystack's actually much bigger in the off-market search because it also includes businesses that aren't for sale. But it's a great way to sell a course. I'd say there's nothing wrong with doing a good off-market search. Go do some Google work. You'll get some ideas on how to do it. It's just really one of those things you just have to go out and do. You don't need to pay someone $10,000 to learn how to do it. Now, these courses, they'll tell you can buy businesses with 100% seller financing. I'm going to tell you that's not going to happen. Now, in theory, it is possible, but so is winning the lottery. Finding a good cash flowing business that's running well, that someone's going to sell to you at 100% seller financing is the same as winning a lottery ticket. So I wouldn't pay someone for a course on how to win the lottery. If business is doing well, they're going to want cash. They're going to want cash up front. Every deal does have some level of seller financing, typically between 10 and 20%, but you shouldn't expect 100% unless you're buying from friends or family. Or maybe if the business is in trouble and it's not generating any cash flow or it's not making any money, you might find someone that's going to sell you one for 100% seller financing. But then how are you going to make the payments if the business isn't cash flowing? Now, one trick that we see all the time is that people will come out and say, I've bought all these businesses 100% seller finance. And then you find out they're like $5,000, $25,000 acquisitions. At that stage, you're really buying some assets. You didn't buy a business. You're not going to find $1 million EBITDA or a $500,000 EBITDA business with 100% seller financing. It's just so unlikely to happen that you shouldn't be buying a course that's teaching you that you can. And then also watch out for the sale of absentee, that you're going to be able to spend $100,000 and buy a business and run it absentee. Those businesses, they just don't have enough revenue to support a management structure. And even when you get larger, up to the $500 million EBITDA level, they still don't really have enough cash flow to support both a management and the loan. Now, of course, these businesses can be set up absentee, but that's usually if you pay cash or after your loan's paid off. It's really, really hard in the small business space to find businesses that can be run truly absentee and that you've bought with an SBA loan, just because too much of that cash is going to the principal and interest payments of the loan. And now we see there's lots of businesses that are advertised as absentee. We have bought several businesses that were absentee that now have owner-operators working full-time because that's what the business really needed. And that's the reason why they were selling, is because they knew that the business needed a manager and that they were actually really managing the business. Sometimes absentee just means remote. They're working full-time, but they're just doing it remotely. So just be careful out there. We've seen a few new ones out on the TikTok lives. Make sure that you're looking at people that are really active in the space. Obviously we love for you to watch our content. There are other people that are good on X that are actual CPAs or attorneys or the BDOs, business development officers at the major SBA lenders. Those are great sources of information and insights into how the real world works, not these social media influencers that are planning to sell you a course. Just as a general rule of thumb, you're going to get more accurate information from people who are actually involved in day-to-day in providing services in the M&A space than you are from people selling courses on. That said, just to maybe kind of put some of these to bed, we're tossing around whether we should just make a free school intensive course and give it away. Let us know in the comments if you think that we should do that, if we should go to the school app. build an intensive free course to hopefully put some of these course sellers out of business.